This is EasyOSX, and today I'm going to show you how to enable autosuggestions in your terminal. Autosuggestion lets you quickly complete commands based on what you previously typed. If you're looking for autocomplete, which will surface multiple command options as you type and autofill the one you choose, regardless of whether you've used them previously, that'll be in the next video, so check that out when it's out. First, you're going to need Homebrew installed. If you don't know how to do that, then I've got a previous video where I showed you how to install and enable that, which I'll have linked in the description and in the corner as well. So if you don't already have it installed, pause this video, watch and follow along with the Homebrew installation guide, then come back and follow along with this one. If you've already got Brew installed, then we can begin. On the Brew homepage, I'm going to the search box and we'll look up ZSH-AutoSuggestions, which I've already done that before, so I'll just click here. And this will give you the command you'll need to install the utility, as well as some other information about where you can look at the details of the utility on GitHub, which is important since this is a third-party utility we're installing. It also tells you about what you'll need to do to enable autosuggestions, which I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to copy this command by hitting the little paste button next to it, go back into my terminal, and paste it. The command will also be in the description for you to copy and paste from here. Now when I hit enter, the autosuggestion formula will download and be added to our Brew. As you can see, it's pretty quick. But you'll notice this line here about what we need to do to activate autosuggestions. And that's that we need to add this next line to our ZSHRC file, or ZSH. This file is a startup file which basically tells your terminal to load in some extra stuff on startup and where to reference it, similar to what you do with your Mac or PC with the startup item list. And your path may look slightly different than mine because the Mac I'm recording this on is an Intel Mac, so if you're using one of those, it'll look the same. But if you're using an Apple Silicon Mac with an M2, M1, etc. processor, then the path will be slightly different. Just pay attention to that. This will become important a little later. Back to the ZSH file. Unless you've been working with Brew or another similar tool for a while, you probably don't have a ZSH file. So type in touch_/period ZSHRC and hit enter. If you already have a ZSH file, this won't affect it at all. But if there isn't one, a blank ZSH file will be created for you. In case you're wondering, the tilde means this is in our user folder, and the period means it's a hidden file by default. We can open that file from the terminal by typing in open ~/period ZSHRC. And hitting enter will open that file in your text editor. From here, we can copy and paste the command the terminal gave us into our file. Save it with Command S, and close out the text editor. I'll also close out the terminal, like autosuggest requires. I'll minimize this browser window as well, just for tidiness sake. Now we'll open up the terminal again, and if we've done everything right, if I type a command like brew update, and then type it again, it'll show up in a duller font on this line. But you'll notice here, it's not happening. This is where that Intel Mac comment I made before comes in. Notice these sets a line at the top that says, the default interactive shell is now ZSH. To update your account, to use ZSH, please run yada yada. If you've had an Intel Mac for a while, specifically one that's been upgraded from a version earlier than 10.15 Catalina, your terminal is still using something called bash. I'm not going to go deep into what these are, but your terminal app runs what are called shells that are used to add or improve some functionality in the command line. Some shells are meant to be faster but simpler, while others have a lot of features to offer. The point is, Apple, with the release of Catalina, switched from using one called Bash, the born-again shell, to Z shell, or ZSH. If you bought a Mac that originally came with Catalina or later, meaning Macs from late 2019 and onward, then your terminal was running ZSH out of the box. But if you are using a computer older than that, it probably is still running Bash because Apple never forced the upgrade. So we have to do it ourselves and run this command at the top. CHSH space -s space /bin/ZSH. Type in my admin password. Once we've done that, we can restart our terminal. And I'll do the same thing where I type one command, the brew update to demonstrate. Then I'll type it again, and you can see I get this dull gray font next to what I'm typing that shows a suggestion for what I type. And I can hit the right arrow key to complete it. This will build out a library over time on your machine so that as you use more commands, it'll make more suggestions. So you can see when I type this command to check for software updates, It doesn't show anything because I've never used this command since installing autosuggestions. But now that I have used it, when I go to type either the update command or the software update check, both are now suggested automatically. Likewise, if you use a variation of commands, like how I like to use brew update and brew upgrade together, then it will suggest more recent versions of that command to autofill. With all that said, this is how to set up autosuggestions in your Mac terminal. Next time, we'll set up autocomplete. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. If this video helped you out, then give it a like. It'll really help the channel. Likewise, if you want more Mac, iOS, and other Apple tips, tricks, and advice, you can subscribe to the channel. You can also check out the website, EasyOSX.net, as well as our social media pages. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.